Welcome to our YouTube channel. In today's video, we'll be journeying through the top 10 racing games you can play on the Nintendo Switch. Despite the Switch not being the first console that pops into your mind when you think about high-octane racing titles, it's home to some truly fantastic games. From classic franchises like Burnout and Grid to vintage gems like Outrun, and let's not forget the iconic Mario Kart, the Switch has got you covered. But what makes the Switch unique is the versatility it offers. You're not bound to your living room couch. Whether you're commuting, traveling, or just stepping out for a bit, these pulse-pounding racers can tag along with you. So buckle up, as we speed into the world of virtual driving, exploring the racing games you should consider for your Nintendo Switch, next time you feel the need for speed. We kick off our list with an honorable mention, Slipstream. This game is a heartfelt tribute to the beloved classic racers, where your objective was to drive ceaselessly into the distant horizon, maneuvering your way through smooth bends, and evading traffic that always appeared to be moving just as fast as you were. With the recent addition of the Blue Hour expansion, Slipstream has become even more engrossing. It now boasts breathtaking new tracks inspired by the picturesque sunsets of Europe. Its structures and surroundings decorated with bit-crushed-style photo textures add a splendid mid-90s aura to the game. Now, I must admit, the handling isn't as razor-sharp as I'd prefer. Dialing down the game speed to 90% or even less seems to make a difference. However, if you're a fan of vintage racing games, giving Slipstream a spin is an experience you owe yourself. At number 10, we have Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. Now, to be completely honest with you, I've always found the handling of the 2010 version of Hot Pursuit somewhat challenging. This sentiment hasn't changed even 13 years down the line. However, taking a step back and looking at the broader picture, this game was a leading light among arcade racers during the penultimate console generation. The credit goes to its awe-inspiring environmental design and the straightforward, distilled gameplay that pits you in a thrilling game of cat and mouse. The Nintendo Switch version is no different. It mirrors the original's heart racing intensity, complete with an impressive lineup of the finest performance cars from the late 2000s. And for a dash of nostalgia, they've also thrown in a couple of classic vehicles into the mix. Zooming into the 9th spot, we have Crash Team Racing, Nitro-Fueled. Now, there are folks out there with a deep-seated adoration for Crash Team Racing. It's practically a cult following. Activision's remake of this original PlayStation kart racer deserves a nod for successfully transposing the experience onto contemporary platforms. Although Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still holds the crown with its seamless 60 frames per second gameplay, unrivaled course design, and precise handling, CTR, Nitro-Fueled, deserves recognition. It's an excellent pick for those seeking a more narrative-focused, adventure-style karting experience. This game is especially a treat for those who were die-hard Team Sony supporters during the console wars nearly 3 decades ago. Taking the 8th position is the sensational Sega Ages Outrun. A remarkable work of art by the retro remaster wizards at M2, this stunning recreation of Sega's 1986 classic, Outrun, made its debut exclusively for the Nintendo Switch in 2019. With a doubled frame rate, the game's playability has reached a new pinnacle. It's smoother and more immersive than ever before. But that's not all. The Sonic experience has also been enhanced in Sega Ages Outrun, boasting 6 new soundtracks alongside the original title's legendary 3. And to keep the authenticity intact, M2 recreated several of these tunes using the original arcade board's sound hardware. It's this kind of meticulous attention to detail that sets M2's work apart. Speeding into the 7th spot, we have Grid Autosport. In the twilight of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 console era, Codemasters discreetly launched this game, a title with a stronger focus on motorsport, emphasizing real racing disciplines and tracks. Now, Grid Autosport isn't a full-blown simulation, but this very aspect makes it perfectly compatible with the Switch. Credit to Feral Interactive for taking care of the porting process. They even introduced a high frame rate mode with dialed-down detail, offering a more reactive driving experience. Sliding into the 6th position, we have an unconventional pick, the Nintendo Switch Online's classic library, Here, we aren't focusing on a single game but rather the treasure trove of retro classics Nintendo provides through its Switch Online subscription service. Now, I understand the price tag of $20 for the base tier, covering the NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, and GBA libraries, or the $50 premium option adding the Nintendo 64, might seem a bit steep over time. However, these plans include some truly iconic racing games. From the original Super Mario Kart and F-Zero, to the lesser-known gems like Stunt Race FX and the perpetually underrated Wave Race 64 Feet, these games offer a fantastic trip down memory lane. They're a reminder of the days when Nintendo wasn't afraid to make racing games that didn't necessarily revolve around the Mushroom Kingdom characters. And the good news is that Excitebike 64 Feet is also set to join the lineup sometime this year. I, for one, can't wait to relive the thrills as Jumpin' Jim Rivers once again. Burning rubber into the 5th position is Fast RMX by Shin'en Multimedia. Despite being a launch title for the Switch back in 2017, this game is far from outdated. If you've yet to experience Fast RMX, you'll discover it's a commendable spiritual successor to F-Zero GX. It's the game's eye-catching visuals, particularly impressive if you're lucky enough to own an OLED Switch model, coupled with a jaw-dropping sense of speed that really stands out. Now, a word of caution. The level of difficulty is, let's say, quite challenging. But hey, what's a good racing game without a few nerve-wracking moments, right? You've been forewarned. Revving into the 4th spot, we have Wreckfest. I must say, in recent years, no other racing game has delivered as much fun for me and my buddies as this one. The Switch version of Bugbear's demolition-themed racer retains all the elements that console and PC gamers have relished over the years. Though the frame rate is capped at 30 frames per second, it's consistently maintained, and the physics continue to offer the perfect equilibrium. It's easy to get the hang of but challenging to master, especially if you decide to shun aids like traction control. Wreckfest is truly a riot, and if you haven't experienced it yet, the Switch version is an excellent way to get a taste of the chaos. However, here's a word of caution. Regrettably, there's no cross-play multiplayer option with your friends on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. But that shouldn't stop you from experiencing the mayhem that Wreckfest brings to the table. Racing into the 3rd spot, we have Sega Ages Virtua Racing. Sega's Virtua Racing was a trailblazer in the world of polygonal racing games, rubbing shoulders with the likes of Hard Drivin' and Winning Run. It was certainly the first to capture a smooth sense of speed effectively. Virtua Racing had seen numerous ports from Sega's CG board arcade tech to consoles throughout the 90s and early 2000s. However, it wasn't until M2's Sega Ages release on Switch in 2019 that we witnessed a genuinely arcade-perfect recreation. In fact, the Switch port surpasses the 1992 original, thanks to M2 doubling the frame rate to 60 frames per second and introducing support for an astounding 8-player local multiplayer. We're certainly holding out for more such dedicated remasters from Sega, especially for golden-era 90s classics like Daytona USA, Sega Rally, and Scud Race. But for now, Sega Ages Virtua Racing takes the podium. Securing the runner-up spot, we have Burnout Paradise Remastered. Undoubtedly, this game is one of the greatest racing titles from the past 2 decades, so it was a stroke of luck when Electronic Arts and Stellar Entertainment brought it to the Switch in 2020. I can personally vouch for the game's replayability. Having played through Paradise countless times since its initial release in 2008, I am yet to grow tired of its precise handling, compelling combat-focused gameplay, and the sheer exhilaration of its open-world setting. And who can forget the thrill of all these elements coming alive to the soundtrack of Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend? The fact that this experience is now portable, something I can enjoy on a plane or a train, is nothing short of a miracle. And here we are, at the pinnacle of our list, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Let's be honest, you probably saw this coming. But there's a solid reason why Mario Kart 8 has flown off the shelves with over 50 million copies sold across its Wii U and Switch releases. If all racing games on the Switch were crafted with Nintendo's meticulous production values and precise focus on the hardware's potential, the Switch would undoubtedly be a top-tier platform for the genre. Despite the deluxe version being over 6 years old, it continues to receive fresh content through the Booster Course Pack, which, by its completion, will add a staggering 48 additional courses to the game. And just a heads up, that expansion pack comes included with the $50 annual tier for Nintendo Switch Online. A little extra sweetness for you. So there you have it, our rundown of the 10 best racing games on the Nintendo Switch. Of course, there are plenty of games that just barely missed the top 10. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what you believe should have made the cut. Be sure to drop your opinions in the comments below. Now, rev up your engines and let the races begin.